watch Crown Jewel over the weekend? Don't worry, because WWE basically recapped the whole thing before this week's episode of Monday Night Raw. And who would waste their time recapping something? Also, hello, my friends, and welcome to another episode of Ups and Downs with me, Simon Miller, the bald guy that shouts at you a bit. So it's a lot like living at home when you're like, Mom, Dad, why don't you love me? They're like, we didn't even want to have you, you stupid fool. Once again, we've arrived at a very interesting place. Let's up those down. Seth Rollins is also our guy to kick off this week's episode of Raw, and he now really likes the colour yellow. He looked a little bit like Pikachu. He also thanked Drew McIntyre and Sami Zayn for everything that had happened at Crown Jewel because Drew gave him the fight of his life, although he was the better man. And when it came to Sami, well, he stopped Damian Priest cashing in his money in the bank. Now, clearly Drew must have been playing Call of Duty or something because when his name was said, he didn't arrive. But when Sam did get the big old drop, he came to the ring to his music. And I guess Seth Rollins did invite him, but I tell you, he was not doing this. I mean, what the hell is this? Now, it was kind of lame because we found out straight away that Adam Pearce is now in possession of the briefcase because he'd taken it off Sami Zayn. And I was like, well, that's disappointed. I wanted one of those theft storylines, even though, yes, you are breaking the law. Seth then gave him the biggest backhanded compliment because you're like, yeah, well, cheers, but I could have handled Damo anyway. When Zayn was like, shut up, you long-haired warrior. The only reason I did this is because I'm sick and tired of the Judgment Day holding all the championships, so the World Heavyweight title has to be protected from them. Somewhere, I bet Gunther was like, excuse me, what about mine? Rollins was just loving this too, because I guess he's the moral police now, because he was like, oh, Sami Zayn, you always do the right thing. So once again, my hand went up. I was like, no, he doesn't. He was in the bloodline for like a whole year, and he was doing some really, really bad stuff. The whole point, though, is that if you do act like a good soldier, you do deserve something. So, he's going to give Sami Zayn a title shot. The best part is that Rollins was like, oh my gosh, it's so hard to get one of these. It's not. All you do is walk in, you fight Adam Pearce, and you say, geese title shot, he goes, okay. Sami was all like, oh my gosh, I can't believe that is happening. Although here's the deal, he doesn't really want to face Seth Rollins right now because he is compromised. So I suppose he's turned into a perimeter. It didn't really make sense because Rollins just wrestled all weekend, although that was Seth's point. He was like, well, no, I'm not 100%, and you're not 100%, because when we do what we do, there we go, there's a do, get in the comments, nobody is ever going to be 100%. Anyways, the point is Zayn is allowed to choose whatever he does want when he just turned on a dime and went, ha, let's do it tonight. So there's your main event. I mean, this match could headline a pay-per-view, so I can't lie, I was very excited. And I do believe the world title should be defended on TV more. Like, I don't mean every 7 days. But given that Roman never does it, you may as well do it here. This got me very excited. In my tum-tum, he's getting it up. The Judgment Day were then backstage, although Damian Priest wasn't there. And they were super duper happy. Things are going pretty good. Priest then arrived, and he's not pleased at all because, yeah, everything flubbing sucks. I mean, he doesn't have his briefcase anymore, and why the hell is Sami Zayn getting a title shot? JD McDonagh then tried to calm him down, but Priest just mugged him right off when Finn Balor was like, hey, buddy, don't worry about it. Because apparently he's like some kind of vampire now. We'll just beat the New Day later. That really did cheer Damian Priest up. The highlight, too, was that Priest hated the fact that JD McDonagh was wearing this t-shirt, and Dominic Mysterio must have had the same one, because he just closed his jacket slowly and did eye emoji. So once again, condom is the best thing about Raw. And as we had mentioned that match too, let's go. Now, it really was a treat because it was the Judgment Day fighting new people, because they have kind of gone Groundhog Day recently, and also their opponents were the New Day. And you know the deal with Xavier Woods and Kofi Kingston. They are officially all tied. They started strong too, but when we cut to the commercial break and came back, Finn Balor was just in control. And even Wade Barrett mentioned that this had happened, but nobody showed us. So we'll have to make it up for ourselves. So I'm going to say that Xavier Woods started playing his trombone, so Damian Priest was all like, blah, 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 on the piano, and all of a sudden Finn Balor had a fiddle. And Kofi was really upset about this because he doesn't play an instrument, so he kind of went behind the Judgment Day and did the hand thing, so it looked like he was playing when Damian turned around and punched him right in the face. That'll do. Kofi did eventually get the hot tag, probably fueled by embarrassment, when he hit the ultimate comeback move of 2023, the crossbody, when Balor and Priest accidentally collided with each other. We are planting those seeds. It led to this great 1-2-ooh after Woods hit his elbow, but then Priest grabbed Kingston, he threw him into Alan the announce table. All of a sudden it went real bad. Because he jumped Xavier, who didn't see it coming, he hit the big choke slam, Given that Finn was basically heading to the top already, he hit the coup de grace, 1, 2, 3. So I suppose this is the best thing about the newest of days, is that they can lose, but they still remain over, because they've put in the time. I'm not sure what's next for them, but the Judgment Day keeps on rolling. Jackie Redmond then tried to interview Drew McIntyre, who was getting out of a car, but he was so pissed off about what happened at Crown Jewel, he got out of this vehicle, saw this person, and he got back in the vehicle. I was like, Drew, you just wasted seconds of your life. It also led to Shinsuke Nakamura versus Tozawa. Very sadly, the Tozawa train did not make the station. Now, Tozawa was able to hit a big old German suplex, das war gut Zeug, but basically, Shinsuke then kneed him a lot. He booted him right in the skull, he hit the Kinshasa, and he beat him. I was like, man, any dreams I have had just died. It's also a bit like, oh, we were so close to Tozawa, even though we weren't close at all. I mean, we were miles away. Although afterwards, because of course Tozawa is now part of the Alpha Academy, Shinsuke looked at Otis, and Otis looked at Shinsuke. So as per wrestling rules, we're now doing that match next week. So I guess that Shinsuke is now going to work his way through the Academy before he takes on Chad Gable, and that'll be pretty good. And look, I guess that Shinsuke did need a W here, much like the Judgment Day, because Tozawa never wins. But maybe one day he will win. What a day that will be. From nowhere, we then got this video for Natalya, just because she's been around for a while, although she is entering the Battle Royal later, and the winner of that is going to become the #1 contender for Rhea Ripley's title. We then had Adam Pearce telling us about the Fatal 4-Way that's going down later, and the winner of that will be the #1 contender for Gunther's title, when Adam found Seth Rollins, and he's like, Seth, you don't have to do this later, and Seth went, it was my idea, you absolute goober, of course I'm going to do it. A good point. Michael Cole very nicely then sent some good messages to Eric from the Viking Raiders, because he has just had neck fusion surgery. So I will ape what Mike did here. I really hope he does get better soon. In the meantime, Ivar, of course, is now entering singles action, which is when we got this big 4-way match. And it was the Viking Raider taking on The Miz, taking on Bronson Reed, taking on Ricochet. Now look, it was a little bit funky in places, but otherwise this is really good. Now for the last week, people have been arguing, oh, has The Miz gone face or not? Well, he definitely has, because somebody has gone into his creator moveset in WWE 2K23, and they've been tinkering, because he was busting out springboards here, and it went so crazy, the fans started to chant, let's go Miz. So he did it. The absolute highlight of this, however, is when Ricochet was caught up on the top rope. Bronson Reed walked over, kind of went boing, and he pinged him off, when all of a sudden Ricochet landed on Ivar's shoulder and gave him a Hurricane Rana. I was like, my gosh, I don't think I've ever seen that before. I mean, you could do that 100 times and it wouldn't go this well. And of course, at one point, Ivar ran into Reed and Reed ran into Ivar because they're big men, slapping man meat. We also got the Tower of Doom spot with the two giants on the top, which scared the absolute flub out of me. But once again, it definitely worked, and it also kind of tied into the finish. Because Ivar decided he was going to moonsault Ricochet, whereas Reed was like, oh, mate, I'm going to give the tsunami to The Miz. But he missed, meaning The Miz got the pin, and Ivar got the pin, but Ricochet kicked out too, and the referee was doing a double count for some reason, but The Miz had Bronson Reed down for the 3, so the ref did go 3, and The Miz won. What? Now look, it was a very convoluted ending, although I do like the fact that WWE tried to do something a little bit different. Now everyone's going, oh, it was an error, it was a botch. It wasn't. It just didn't really work as intended. So even though it was a little bit fluffy, I don't mind, because again, there is 52 weeks of wrestling television every single year, and if you just give me the same finish over and over again, well, WWE does. It's called the distraction finish. But now at Survivor Series, we're going to get Gunther versus The Miz. So WWE's going to have to pull that one out of their ass, because nobody is going to believe The Miz is going to win. But therein lies the challenge. But I thought this was all right. Ivar also finished The Miz off after this because flubbed that guy and he beat him up. And it's almost like somebody in the back thought to themselves, well, if we do a match between The Miz and Ivar on TV, The Miz will beat a big guy before he goes on to the premium live event and takes on another big guy. Even though Tozawa just lost, Gable and Otis were bigging him up because, of course, he has his Heritage Cup match on NXT. This version of Tozawa is totally nuts. He's like two different characters depending on what brand he's on. Chad then totally wrecked him too because Maxine Dupree walked in and she is entering the Battle Royal. And he was all like, well, look, just don't do what Tozawa did and don't pick on people that are twice your size. I was like, man, can we please all leave Tozawa alone? We then saw the Creeds and Ivy Nile officially signing with Adam Pearce and Raw, and they were all happy. And because of this, Ivy is also going into the Battle Royal. Like when you sign up for a new phone contract, You get all the perks. Johnny Gargano and Tommaso Ciampa must have been literally right there too, because they just walked in, and because they like each other and enjoy fighting, we're going to get that match. Now this was interesting because, of course, in terms of Monday Night Raw, they're essentially brand new teams. I mean, on occasion, it actually doesn't matter what you do outside of Monday nights. DIY used their experience to start off hot when the Creeds did get back into this. When Tommaso Ciampa got the hot tag, and my word, he clotheslined their heads off. Brewers then fought back with a Samoan drop, and this sent me totally crazy because he's not Samoan, so it's just a drop. When Julius, despite being a very large human, hit a standing shooting star press for the 1-2-ooh. Damn it, man, how do you do it? It also saw DIY get ready for their finisher when Brutus hurled Tommaso out of the ring. For some reason, the referee couldn't handle this. When Ludwig Kaiser turned up, he booted Johnny Gargano right in the head, which allowed the Creeds to hit the Brutus bomb, and they got the 1-2-3. Now, look, I do understand this, because you don't want any team to lose for all the reasons we've underlined here, but understandably, the crowd was so baffled. They were like, well, I understand Imperium doesn't like DIY, but how am I meant to cheer the Creeds after this? It was shenanigans. So really, just don't book the match. Although I will say this, it was very, very fun. It was very, very enjoyable. And the Creeds are doing so well ever since they have been called up. They should be the champions within 6 months. So that gets it up. But yeah, it was one of those distraction finishes where you just didn't need to do it. WWE is totally obsessed at the moment. Down. For some reason, Sami Zayn was then watching a clip of him losing to Roman Reigns at the Elimination Chamber. I was like, Sam, what are you doing? Don't do this. It's like watching your girlfriend or your ex-partner break up with you. Don't give yourself the hurt. Jey Uso also saw him doing this, so he walked in and like, I'm sorry that I assisted with that, but they're buddies now. When he was also like, you're never going to believe this, next week, me and Cody Rhodes are getting our tag team title rematch. Ooh la la. It also means by the end of November, maybe Jey Uso will be a tag champion and Sami Zayn will be the world champion. I wanted to bring them in and go, listen lads, that ain't going to happen. Becky Lynch was then here, and she too is entering the Battle Royal. She was all like, hey, even if I have to take out the whole locker room, that's what I'll do, because I want to be the champion. Somehow Nia Jax literally then teleported in behind her and even referenced this, and was like, ha ha ha, do you remember that time I punched you and broke your nose? Becky Lynch was like, ha ha ha, do you remember how I used that to main event WrestleMania, whereas you got fired? I was like, Nia, you totally lost that battle of words. I mean, you could feel that line was coming, but it was good, and I think we're going to do a feud between these two. When Byron Saxton was here, and he wanted to have a conversation. This was with Piper Niven and Chelsea Green, who are also entering the Battle Royal. I don't really like it when other champions do that. Like, Gunther wouldn't go after another title right now, because he understands the power of the Intercontinental Championship. Shayna Baszler and Zoe Stark then found them. This was actually quite funny, because Chelsea was like, me and Piper, we're going to team up. Niven was like, no, we're not. It's every woman for herself. And she walked off. And Chelsea was like, you didn't mean it. It's an inside joke. Baszler and Stark then basically argued a little bit as friends, because I'm going to win, but no, I'm going to win. Baszler wants to destroy Chelsea Green. That will probably happen at some point. When Karma whipped Becky Lynch's ass. Or Xia Li did it. We did get to this Battle Royal, and Becky Lynch was making her way to the ring. When Xia was like, oh yeah, I'm not meant to like this person. And she attacked the man, and she did that spin kick that she did to Candice LeRae last week. And for the second week running, Becky sold this like, oh no, I've got a concussion. What really made me laugh is that Adam Pearce then stopped her from competing. I was like, Adam, I have seen people's skulls get crushed with chairs, and you've let them have a fight, but oh no, somebody got dinged in the head, you're out. And look, I suppose it was just a way for Becky Lynch to get eliminated without being eliminated, which did bring us to that damn Battle Royal. It also meant we had Nikki Cross, Zoe Stark, Chelsea Green, Piper Niven, Shayna Baszler, Nia Jax, Raquel Rodriguez, Maxine Dupree, Tegan Knox, who I thought was injured, Kaden Carter, Katana Chance, Ivy Nile, Indy Hartwell, and Natalya. Quite the mix. Now, Cross was doing her whole, oh my gosh, my brain has been lost gimmick, so she was just stood there. But at the start of this, everybody just fought around her. I was like, what are you doing? Then eventually she was thrown out. And I was like, yeah, why wouldn't you do that? She's basically a mannequin. Dupree totally ignored Chad Gable too, because she focused on Piper Niven, but actually this did work because her and Tegan teamed up and they eliminated her. But Maxine over-celebrated and Nia Jax chucked her over the top rope. Whoops. We're clearly pushing Ivy as well because she eliminated both Carter and Chance. That was kind of a big deal. When Rodriguez grabbed Chelsea Green, and she was gone too. That easy. Nancy then said bye to Indy Hartwell because she missed a big boot and went over the top rope. But Natalya didn't do much better either because Ivy Nile eliminated her. So once again, she was rocking and rolling. Nia then pushed Tegan, so she went to the floor. This is when everybody was like, oh my gosh, Nia Jax is a big person. Why don't we come together and top her over the top rope? What does that mean? Top her over the top rope? No idea. Just came out of my mouth. And I was like, well, of course this happened. It's literally happened in every battle royal since 1242. Jax was so mad, she just threw Niall to the floor as well. And this was totally fine. My gosh, I love it when wrestling does this. Because one, yes, it's absolutely ridiculous. Why would this be a rule? But two, never ever stop doing it. It did bring us down to our final two, which was Shayna Baszler and Zoe Stark. And a small part of me, my nerd side, was like, well, man, if we had this planned, why have they been losing over the last few weeks? But they had a really good battle, especially when Shayna Baszler applied the Kirifuda clutch onto Stark, but they were on the ring apron, so she had to let go because he was like, well, look, if you pass out, I'm going to hit the floor first. It really went badly because Stark then DDT'd her into the ring apron, and Shayna just fell on the floor. And I tell you, this battle royal was really well put together. I enjoyed the finish muchly, and I am giving it up. Rhea Ripley was also being interviewed right after this, and she couldn't give a damn. She was like, oh no, Zoe Stark, I'll whip her ass. But Zoe walked in and they're like, no, you won't. When we get to Survivor Series, it's actually going to be me who is the victim. Rhea laughed again because, of course, at Crown Jewel, she took out 4 people, so 1 will be fine. But I tell you this, if we heat Zoe Stark up in the right way, this is going to be fire. Because I really do think they'll have a great match. And speaking of great matches, we then got to our main event. For it was Seth Rollins versus Sami Zayn for the World Heavyweight Championship. And going forward, we need to figure out how to do this again, but just plant that little bit of a seed of doubt where you're like, oh my gosh, maybe the other guy is going to win. Because here, I knew that Seth Rollins would get the W, but my word, I was still so damn invested. After they wrestled a bit to begin with too, Sami reminded Seth Rollins, don't forget you've got a bad back, but because I'm a good guy, I'm not going to attack it. 5 minutes later, he gave Seth a back body drop onto the ring apron, which, yes, is the hardest part of the ring. So all that morality out the window. Zayn also hit a moonsault off a Barry Barricade, which seemed very unfair because Baz is dead. When it went, you do a dive, I'll do a dive, we'll all do a dive, hey Nan, why don't you do a dive? And she did. They kept this back and forth up because Rollins then hit a buckle bomb. And Sami came back with the least devastating move in all of sports entertainment, the Blue Thunder Bomb. And yeah, as I said, sure, it worked on Saturday, but it totally failed here, only in Saudi Arabia. He still got the exploder as Seth then came back with a kick that was super and a pedigree for an excellent 1-2-ooh, when all of a sudden Zayn decided, I'm done with you, and Seth Rollins came in for the stomp, but my word, he turned it into the damn lion tamer. So Chris Jericho was smiling somewhere, and this was ruining Rollins' back to the point he wasn't able to get to the rope when he remembered shirts that are available on ProWrestlingTees.com/Simon Miller right now, and he hit the most devastating move in all of sports entertainment, the surprise roll-up, and he got the 3. I was a little bit disappointed because I was like, man, if WWE didn't do this finish all the time, it would have absolutely rocked even more. I mean, it was damn well perfect. Also, bring it down, surprise roll-up counter up by 1. The two raised each other's hands at the end of this because they are friends, although Sami was super sad here. When, of course, the Judgment Day attacked. That's just what they do. Jey Uso made the save, but he was late because he had to cue up the audio guy because he had music. And when he started to get his ass kicked, Cody Rhodes also arrived to a massive reaction, but he too had to cue up the audio guy. Man, Dave, would you hurry up and play my music? I gotta go. This then got totally out of control, but I tell you, it was wonderful chaos because they just went absolutely crazy to the point Adam Pearce arrived and was like, oh, you're all children. You're driving me nuts. So do you know what I'm gonna do? If you wanna play games, come Survivor Series, it's gonna be War Games. I'm gonna lie, that got me all jazzed in my Tootsie Toes. But J.D. McDonough sold this like, what? War Games? I was like, bro, they literally talked about this at Crown Jewel. It was excellent though, mostly because it didn't work, because as soon as we got that announcement, they just kept on fighting, and it ended with Cody just flying up to the top rope and diving on everybody as Raw ended with the good guys standing tall. This War Games at the moment is also 4-on-4, and don't forget it's usually 5-on-5, so there may be a few surprises in the next couple of weeks, but I tell you, if you like frantic endings to your wrestling show, this one was absolutely faboo. Getting it up. Which did bring us to the end of Monday Night Raw, and I knew this would happen. I said it last week. As soon as we got through Crown Jewel, WWE has lit a fire under the Survivor Series ass, and this Raw felt so much more damn focused, and I had a wonderful time. Now, of course, please do go into those comments and let me know what you thought about last night's Raw before you click this video right here, which is ups and downs for AEW Collision. If you could support all the ups and downs, I will support you. Prepare yourself for another week of professional wrestling, because if you're going to invest that much time, you may as well have a smile on your face. My voice is going. Goodbye.